I will now take the sediment for this meeting of the Planning Local Review Body held on the 4th of November 2024. The following members are present: Councillors Ali Callison, Jerry Convery, Colin Dewar, Gladys Ferguson Miller, Cal Johnston Dempsey, Leslie MacDonald, Richard Nelson, Norman Ray, Graham Scott and David Shearer. Thank you, and I'll pass you back to the Chair for today's business.
Thank you very much, Stuart. We will then go into today's agenda as item number 1, any declarations of interest. If you can please indicate now. If there is no declarations of interest, we will then move on to agenda item number 2. This is application P240367 for the use of storage and distribution warehouse class 6 as soft play centre class 11 and installation of flue relating to ancillary kitchen at Graham Builders Merchants, Cadzo Industrial Estate in Hamilton. The item before us today is a notice of review. The applicant is asking the PLRB to review the planning officer's determination to refuse an application for the use of a storage and distribution warehouse class 6 as a soft play centre class 11 and installation of flue relating to ancillary kitchen at Graham's Building Merchants, Cadzo Industrial Estate in Hamilton. Details of the proposals, the officer's report of handling and information submitted by the applicant are provided in the papers that have been distributed to members on pages 5 to 98. Before I proceed to carrying out the review, I want to invite the legal advisor to cover a procedural matter, and I'll ask Sean to come in.
There we go. Thank you, Chair. The applicant has raised a new matter which he wishes the PLRB to consider, which is a revised parking layout plan. Now, the legislation states that new matters must not be raised at a review unless that were not before the planning officer at the time the application was determined, unless the new matter could have been raised at the time or that the reason it wasn't raised at the time was due to exceptional circumstances. Now, the applicant relies on there being exceptional circumstances for his reason for not having raised the matter earlier. The applicant states that the exceptional circumstances were that he was not made aware of the road service's views on his application before the application was refused. Planning say that the applicant was not advised of the road's comments, as addressing their comments would still not have altered the outcome of the planning decision. As part of the applicant's notice of review, he included the new amended plan in his response to road's comments. Representation on the new amended parking layout plan was therefore sought from interested parties and planning, and it is for the PLRB to decide whether to allow the new plan or not. If the PLRB decide to allow it, then the views provided by planning on the new layout plan should also be considered. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sean. So just before we open up to consider this review, is the members happy to take that, or do we leave it as is? Please indicate now. If there's no indication, I'll be happy to leave it.
Agreed.
Agreed. Anyone otherwise minded? Okay. The first point then for the PLRB to consider and decide is how to proceed with this review. The applicant has indicated that they consider the review can be concluded based on the review of the information provided by them and other parties, and that no further procedures are required. Taking account of what in our papers, we have to decide whether they do in fact contain sufficient information for us to determine the review today, or if we need any more written information, a hearing or a visit to the site. I think that all the information we have, plus the detailed photographs we have, does provide us with all we need to consider this review. Do the members therefore agree that we can proceed without a site visit, hearing or additional information?
Agreed.
Agreed. Anyone otherwise minded? We will then open the review for discussion and comments. If you could please indicate now. Okay. Councillor Graham Scott.
Thank you, Chair. There are reports that this soft play area is currently operating. It's just to get clarification from officers on what basis is it operating. And obviously we're here today adjudicating on a planning refusal review. So can officers come in and see if this facility is operating on what basis, legally or illegally, is it operating? Thank you, Chair.
Tony?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just in response to Councillor Scott's query, yes, the site is being used as a soft play centre without having, obviously, prior planning approval. So it doesn't authorise, and in effect, the application today or the review today is in retrospect.
Thank you. Is there any further questions or comments, please? If there are no, Councillor Scott? You're on mute, Councillor Scott.
My apologies, back and forward. On the basis of what Tony has said, has there been a second application put in relation to this? A separate application put in?
I'll ask Tony to come in. We're here to discuss the one that's in front of us on its own merits. I don't think it matters whether there's another application already in or not. I think that's separate. We take this application as it is, despite if there's another application in or not. So I'm actually not going to bring Tony in because that makes no difference whether there is an application. We take this one in its own merits. Any further questions or comments, please? If there are no further questions or comments, then can I summarise the points made? The application is for the use of a storage and distribution warehouse, Class 6 as a soft play centre, Class 11, and installation of flue relating to ancillary kitchen at Graham's Builders Merchant, Cadzo Industrial Estate in Hamilton. If we consider that there is no valid policy justification to support the use of a storage and distribution warehouse, Class 6, as a soft play centre, Class 11 at this location, and it would not accord with the development plan, planning permission can be refused. Or if we consider that there is adequate justification for the use of a storage and distribution warehouse, Class 6, as a soft play centre, Class 11, we could grant planning permission subject to conditions. I will now invite for decisions and reasons, if you could please indicate now. Are members then minded to uphold the officer's decision to refuse planning permission? All agreed?
Agreed.
Anyone else otherwise minded? Therefore, the decision of this PLRB is to refuse planning permission for the reasons set out in the decision notice issued on the 23rd of May 2024. The next stage is that a written decision notice will be issued by the PLRB, and this should be issued within 24 days. We will then move on to agenda item number 3. It's application P240041 for the use of residential flat as short-term let at 20 Bacco Barnes, Hamilton. The item before us today is a note of review from Mr Colin Noble. The applicant is asking the PLRB to review the planning officer's determination to refuse an application for planning permission for the use of a residential flat as a short-term let at 20 Bacco Barnes, Hamilton. Details of the proposals, the officer's report of handling and information submitted by the applicant are provided in the papers that have been distributed to members on pages 99 to 178. The first point for the PLRB to consider and decide is how to proceed with this review. The applicant has indicated that they consider the review should be subject of written further submissions, but taking account of what is in their papers, we have to decide ourselves if they do in fact contain sufficient information for us to determine the review today, or if we do actually need more written information, a hearing or a visit to the site. I think personally all the information we have, plus the detailed photographs we have on the site, does provide us with what we all need to consider this review. Do members therefore agree that we can proceed without a site visit, hearing or additional information?
Agreed.
All agreed? We will then proceed to the review, and I will now open the review for discussions. If you could please indicate now. Okay, I will then summarise the points. The application then is for the use of a residential flat as a short-term let at 20 Bacco Barnes in Hamilton. If we consider that there is no valid policy justification to support the change of use of the property and it would not accord with the development plan, planning permission can be refused. Or if we consider that there is adequate justification for the change of use of the property, we could grant planning permission subject to conditions. I will now invite for decisions and any reasons behind those decisions. Our members then are minded then to uphold the officer's decision to refuse planning permission. All agreed?
Agreed.
Is anyone else otherwise minded? Therefore, the decision of this PLRB is to refuse planning permission for the reasons set out in the decision notice issued on the 24th of April 2024. The next stage is that a written decision notice will be issued by this PLRB and should be issued within 28 days. Agenda item number 4. I have no items of urgent business. Can I ask the clerk to stop the recording, and can I wish you all an enjoyable day? Thank you.